Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today.
Morning.
I can see quite a few faces that I recognise. Thank you very much for your support. For those of you who weren't here last week, welcome to, and those who are here today, welcome to Mindful Thoughts. The idea behind it is about raising mental health. Not that we don't know about it, we all know about it, but it's about opening up the conversation and having, getting people to kind of talk about it more, because it's something that's kind of usually hidden. People don't really want to talk about it for fear of, for lots of reasons, frightened of being labelled, frightened of people not, losing their jobs and things like that. So on a weekly basis, we'll be here on a Sunday afternoon, between 1 and 2, and I will have a guest, and they will share some of their share their story about how they've dealt with their own mental health and issues, and how they've managed to kind of get themselves out of that, or being able to move forward. So for this session, I've got my guest today is Denton Wilson. Just waved his hands. So Denton we'll be having a conversation shortly, and Denton will give his story and talk about what's been happening in his life and how he's dealt with his own mental health, and also some health issues as well. In the meantime, can I ask you, if you've not already muted your microphones, if you can mute them now, and just so that we don't get any background noise. And then once we've had conversation with Denton, I'll interview Denton, ask him a few questions about his life. We're going to open it up to some questions. So prepare your questions. You can either ask Denton questions or ask myself, and let's have a conversation. So if Denton, if you're ready,
Yeah.
I'm going to invite you. There's a few more people still joining us, so
yeah.
But if you're ready to start. So Denton, thank you for taking up the opportunity to kind of join me today as a guest. Just tell me a little bit about you. Where you? I know that I know you, but other people don't know you, because I know that you're from Sheffield and we've grown up together. But just say a little bit. I wasn't even sure whether were you born here in England?
No,
or
born in Jamaica.
You're born in Jamaica. Okay.
Yeah.
When did you come here? When did you arrive?
I was 9 years old when I came.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you, kind of coming?
It was kind of strange, really, coming from a hot country that I've never really felt cold in my life. I was born up in Kingston. In Kingston, it was the hottest part of Jamaica, and it was quite. I would say you had to be strong to survive in that particular area that I came from, because of the nature of all the kind of harshness and the hard reality of coming from a poor family, and how we had to survive. It was the fittest to survive. So it was very hard for me. I learned a lot, actually, growing up in Jamaica, and that actually what made me the person that I am today.
Yeah.
Because of having to fight mentally and physically to be a better person. Like I say, my name is Denton Wilson. I left Jamaica when I was 9. I was brought up by my grandmother. See, the thing is, I thought my grandmother was my mother, because my mom was invited to come to England to be a nurse. And so she left me when I was a very small baby. So what her intention was to eventually come back to Jamaica and look after me. But that never happened. So I grew up thinking that my grandmother was my mother.
Yeah.
And I love Jamaica, and I still love Jamaica. One of the things that happened to me why I came to England at the age of 9 was I was mixed up with all the wrong kind of youngsters in my age, because, like I say, in that particular part of Kingston, I was carrying a knife, and you had to do things in order to survive, to protect yourself.
Yeah.
So
Denton, could I just ask you just to come forward a little bit, because we're just you're quite low in terms of volume. Yeah, just so we can hear you clearer.
Now, yeah. So basically, it was quite aggressive area that I was growing up in. So you had to be like everyone else. You have to be tough in order to survive.
Mm.
And I went into the wrong kind of crowd of youngsters. And I started to carry a knife with me. My grandmother didn't like that. She kept telling me, to keep away from bad company. And I thought those company that I was with were my protectors, but obviously they were all for themselves.
Mm.
And I got in, like I said, to the wrong crowd, and eventually I did something wrong within that environment. And next minute I know, I was told by my grandmother that I was going to England, and I didn't understand what England, this place England. I
Mm.
just knew Jamaica, and she said that you're going to your mom, and that kind of made me wonder and thinking, what? I goes, you're my mom. She goes,
Mm.
no, your mom is in England. And I felt really at the age of 9, I felt that I was being thrown away.
Yeah.
You
Sounds
know,
confusing as well to think that that was your mom that you were with, and
yeah, but I
at
think
9.
it's not only me. I think there was a lot of other people in my position where in England they were inviting black people to come over to England to work in nursing, into the transportation. So a lot of us was left behind. And but those people was left. They was open to come back to Jamaica after they made the money. They were going to come back, but a lot of them never did. And I was one of those people. And because of the situation that I was in, and my grandmother was very worried. And she says to me, she goes, you, God has blessed you. She says that you've got to do something great before you die, because and the devil is riding you. So she says she's seen so much in me that she wants me out of that environment, and but I never understood at the time. I was just kind of upset with my grandmother because I wasn't calling her grandmother; she was my mom.
Yeah.
And I was out next minute. I was shipped on a plane. Was put on a plane with along with my cousin to come to England. And when I arrived at England, I was so kind of I cried all the way actually on the plane, because I was so upset. I hated, that may be the wrong word, but I disliked what my grandmother, because I felt like I said she shook me away. She
Yeah.
was lying, you are my mother. This is my country. But I was put on a plane to go. When I arrived in England, I had a badge on my shirt, because I didn't know what who my mom looked like. So I was walking around in the airport with a little suitcase, and every so often the black woman would come and look at me and look at my tag. Oh, you're not mine. So a few attempts where I didn't know who was my mom, and so it was quite frightening because I was such a small little person, and all these big people was coming and looking and seeing who I was. And in the distance, I noticed this woman, and she came walking slowly, and I looked at her, and she was at the same resemblance as my mom, was my grandmother. And she looked at me, and she looked at the tag, and she goes, "Oh my dear Denton, my son." And I looked at her, and I just saw my grandmother in her, and I knew that she was my mom. And so that was my first kind of encounter with my mom. And my mom had married and had other children. So it was in an environment where it was quite strange. I was brought up by my mom and my dad, my stepfather, love him dearly, and my siblings. Now, I had issues because of my Jamaicanness. We speak patois. So words that I was saying, I knew what I was saying, but I could also understand what they were saying, but they could not understand what I was saying. So a lot of the times I was being told that I was speaking wrong. I had to speak right, but I felt that what I was saying was right. You know, after all, I'm a Jamaican. I speak Jamaican, but I could also understand the English language, if you know what I mean. And so I had a lot of problems both at home because I got laughed at by my siblings, and my mom was trying to correct me about my to speak English better. And I never learned a great deal at school because I was always being put in the back. I was like used the laughing as a laughing stock, really. So I never learned a great deal at school because I remember sometimes my teacher would say to me that, I would never amount to much. I'd be like, the job that I would like to, that I would be doing is like being a laborer. And all those things was kind of belittled to me. So I never had much education, but because of my Jamaicanness, I'm thinking, no, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen to me. I'm going to be the best that I can.
Yeah.
So I try to do the best that I can with all the issues that came with it. As a black young man, right, coming into school, the prejudice. I didn't even know about this thing about black and white prejudice, until I came into this country, because in Jamaica, it says out of one, many people, all different nationalities, Chinese, Asians, white people. There was, to me, I didn't see any much difference. I just see them as Jamaicans. Yeah. Over here, it was a different concept. You know what I mean? I was called like got big lips. You're not. It was like I felt like I was not human, and I wanted to be more like other people. I wanted to conform. It was like, as a black person, I was always having to try and conform.
Yeah.
To be accepted. All I wanted to be accepted. I didn't want to be better than anyone else. I just wanted to be accepted, and that was hard for me. And I'm sure it was hard for a lot of other black people trying to be accepted. Mentally, it messes you up. Because no matter what you do, no matter how brilliant you are, people just see you as black, and therefore, no matter what you achieve or the status you are, that's what you are, and therefore you're beneath them. So I learned all these things in a very harsh way in England, and I was pining to go back to Jamaica. I didn't want to be in this country, but this is where I was. So I had to make the best out of the situation.
Yeah.
So I had my language to deal with. I had my behavior to deal with because of the way that I am regarding, I speak my mind. And a lot of Jamaicans, they speak their mind. And nobody likes you to speak their mind. You tell the truth, they don't want you to tell the truth.
Yeah.
Tell a lie, and it's even better. But I wasn't brought up like that.
Yeah.
So I had a lot of problems trying to be careful what I say and what I don't say. Yeah.
And trying to fit in as well, isn't it? So
that's right. And that's
really difficult start.
It was very, very, very difficult for me.
Yeah.
I tried a lot. Like I said, I was brought up in a good family environment. My mom loved me. My dad loved me, even though he accepted me. We were a big family.
Yeah.
So growing up and all that, and when I was like in my teens, I started to have dreams about this man were calling me, and that beckons me to ask my mother about my dad. I asked him, I says, because my name was different from my other siblings, so I asked my mom to tell me more about my dad, and she goes, son, your dad is dead. This is why I had to leave England to come to try and help to raise money to help to feed you and look after you. But because of the nature of being in this country with black people, we had to more or less kind of stay together because of the racism that was there. And my mom met my dad, they got fall in love, they got married, and they got a house together and things like that, and they had children. So all these things was the kind of things that she was telling me. And she couldn't understand why I wanted to know about my dad, because she thought that I was happy. I was happy. It's just that this dream was telling me, this man were calling me, and my mom, she kept telling me my dad was dead. And I vowed at that age, when I was in my teen, when I was old enough I was going to go back to Jamaica, raise my money, save my money, and go back to Jamaica. And
did you go back?
I did go back
to
many
visit?
many times to visit, you know, and ask
Yeah.
questions, you know, and you know something, it took me 42 years, and I met my father, and my father was alive.
Wow.
42 years it took me, and it was a dream that continually saying, this man were calling me, and you know, God moves in mysterious ways, you know. That's why I'm very happy to know that God is in my life, because the dream that I had of this man was the same man who was my father. How strange and wonderful that was.
So you saw his face in the dream,
I
and
saw
that's
he was
yeah.
he was the man in my dreams
Yeah.
when I was in my teens, calling me, that son, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you. We need to talk. And then I met him at the age of 42. This has been many journeys backwards and forward when I could afford it, you know, to go back to Jamaica. And I met him at 42 years old. And I spent 2 weeks with my father. The first week was great. He started to put all the things why people thought he was dead. And I've written a book about that. And it's a wonderful book, but it's all tied up with what I'm talking about, which I'll explain later. And he was telling me about certain things that was going on in Jamaica at the time and such forth, and people was leaving the country because we was invited to go to England to work and such forth. So he was looking for me, and he could not find me, because where I was in Kingston, he didn't know exactly where I was, so he couldn't find me. And like certain parts of Jamaica, you've got to be careful. You can't just walk in unless you know someone in that area. So he thought I'd gone to England as well, and all the time I was living in Jamaica. So it fitted the feet, those jigsaw puzzling. And then the second week, my father felt ill, and I couldn't really understand. You know, it's strapping young man. Well, to me, you know, there's the old people in Jamaica. They don't look old. You know what I mean? Strong. And he felt ill, and I watched my father was getting worse and worse, and his body started to deteriorate. He started to go thinner. The strength he had gone, and it became bedridden, and he was in such pain. And I thought all he wanted was, if I give him painkilling tablets, that was going to be something that was going to help him, because I didn't know what was going on, and I kept giving him painkilling tablets, to ease the pain. But still, it just got worse and worse. But it's kind of emotional for me because, sorry.
It's okay. Just take your time. Take your time. Just take a breath. Take a breath.
Yeah, so.
Just take your time.
Yeah. The second week, some of my father started to deteriorate. And I was ready to go back to England.
Yeah.
I didn't want to leave my father because it took me 42 years
to find him.
Meet this man. So I said, God had a plan for this. God made me meet this man. And on the last few days that I had to get my flight sorted out to go, it was on the day that I was supposed to fly back up to Jamaica. My dad said, son, I've got something to tell you. And I said, what is it? He goes, please, I want you to go to England and help me, because I feel that you can help me. And I said, Dad, I've just met you. I'm not gonna come out of your life anymore. You're my father. I've been searching and I finally met you. And he says, I've got prostate cancer. And I goes, what's that? Because I didn't know what prostate cancer was. Because I've got prostate cancer. And he goes, please, when you go back, help me. And I said, Dad, when I go back, I will find out about this prostate cancer and I will be coming back. I'll borrow the money and I'll come back, and I will be there for you. Kissed him, tell him that I love him. And some of my other brothers and sisters that I never knew, met some new family, you know, on the dad's side. So it was quite emotional for me to believe in him in such a state because he was ill. But I said to him, I'll come back. I'll come back.
Denton?
And I'll be helping, yeah.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah?
Yeah.
Just take a breath. I don't want you to rush. Yeah. And if you need to stop and take some time, that's okay.
Thanks.
And can I just say to everyone else who's listening, if anyone is being triggered by anything that's going on here, just to, if you can look after yourself, and if there's someone you're at home with, to sit with them, because I'm also recognizing that this could trigger other people's experiences as well. And this is the reason why it's good to talk, but it's good to talk when you know that you've got some support around you. Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of just put that out there for everybody who was listening.
Yeah, and I like to apologize also, but it's something that is quite emotional for me.
And you don't need to apologize. So, feelings are feelings, and we're not robots. You can't stop them.
Yeah, right. You know, and so I bid my farewell to my father, and I told him that I will see him again. And I went on my plane, and I was just thinking about him all the time. I said I couldn't believe that I met this man. It took me 42 years of my life, and I met this man. And my dad was there, you know, and I was so grateful for that. And I prayed to God, and I tell him thanks. And I arrived back in England, and then I got a telephone call. And the telephone call said to me that my father had died. I could not believe it. I just met this man, and then I was told he was dead. My father was dead. I borrowed the money, and I went back to Jamaica because I felt that there was a reason for me to have met my father. There was a reason for me to go back. So I went back, and I buried my father along with some of my brothers and sisters that I've never met before. There was something in my head was telling me, which is not done yet. You're here for a purpose. And I remember all the things that was going into what my grandmother was saying to me about the devil's riding me and things like that. Stay strong with God, and you will move forward. Always stay strong with God. Always stay strong with God. And that's what that's what I did. I stayed strong. After I buried my father, I went back to my doctor because I was wanting to ask the question, what is prostate cancer? Because I did not know. So I wanted to know, what is prostate cancer? And so I went to my doctor, and I asked him, was there any tests available for this cancer? And he's going, why do you want to know? He goes, you're a young man, you look fit and healthy. You know, why do you want to actually have a test? You're fine. And he was asking me about certain signs and things. I didn't know nothing. But I was reluctant to come out of the surgery. I said to the doctor, I said, I'm not leaving, right? I want to know if there's a test. I want to know what that test was. And he pointed out there was a test called a PSA test, a blood test. I go, let me have a blood test. And he goes, I can't understand why you want it, because you look so fine, you look so healthy. He says, I wanted a blood test. So I got a blood test. And the week after, I got a call. The doctor said, you need to come in. So I thought nothing of it. So I went in, and he goes, I want you to sit down. So for when he says, I want you to sit down, I knew something was wrong. Because we tested your blood, and it looks like you've got prostate cancer. Because what?
Wow.
Because you've got prostate cancer. Thinking, can't be right. How come I didn't know all this? Because we have to do some further tests just to be 100% sure. So I got some more tests done. I had a biopsy. Before I had the biopsy, I had, which is something that was very uncomfortable, where the doctor had to put his finger up my backside to feel my prostate because that's the only way they can tell. So that was quite uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So I had that done. But it was the blood test that was the initial trigger to show that there was something wrong.
How was that? Sorry to jump in, but how was that when you got that diagnosis? And as awful as it was, I can't imagine what that must have felt like. You know, you've talked about you coming from Jamaica, you know, at 9 and going through all of the things that happened for you, you know, meeting your mom for the first time and meeting brothers and sisters that you didn't know about, and then finding out, you know, that your dad wasn't dead, and that going back and all of that. And then on top of that, now you've been diagnosed with prostate cancer. What's, in terms of family, that obviously now that you were here in England, what was that like, support for you in that time, having had that awful diagnosis?
I did not get any support in a sense because I was
from immediate family.
From immediate family, I could have told my mom. I didn't want to tell my mom because I wanted to make sure that I was 100% sure. That's why I had to go through all the different tests. And it was through the biopsy that they did, which confirmed everything. But the worst thing, when I went back and they gave me an option, they said that the cancer was very aggressive. If I don't get it treated, I will die within 8 weeks. That's what I was told. Roughly work it out because it was such aggressive. They said so they offered me chemo, radiotherapy, and all these different drugs. And I didn't know nothing about these things, but that's what they offered me. And they said, we can prolong your life if you go along with this. And it was like, I felt that I was being backed up in a corner.
Yeah.
That I have to make the decision here and then, because anyone who's got cancer, you want to live. You know, I was 42 years old. I want to live. So it was quite easy for me to just sign a piece of paper and say, yeah, go ahead and give me all the treatment and everything's fine, yeah? But because of my strong belief in God, I told my doctor, I said, I can't sign anything. Give me some time. And he goes, Mr. Wilson, you've not got much time. And I went away and I prayed. I prayed, I cried, I prayed, I cried. All through that night, I prayed and cried. And then God came to me. And it wasn't that I can see God. It was a voice was saying to me, what have I given you?
Sorry.
I've given you all the plants, all the herbs, all the natural things. Take these and you'll be okay. And I remember when I was a youth growing up in Jamaica, when I was ever ill, I remember my grandmother used to go out in the fields, pick some herbs and bush and things, and come back and make a drink, you know, some tea. I drink that, I sweat, and next minute I was fine. You know what I mean? Natural herbs from the ground, no medicine.
So is that what you started using when you?
That's what I did. I researched. I looked back, and I said to my doctor, I don't want to have no chemo, no. It's not like I say. Everybody's got a choice. Right? I'm not saying chemo, radiotherapy, and all that, because I don't know ins and outs. I know some of the ins and outs that made me not wanting to take it. But it's everyone's choice. They choose which one they want to take, right? But because my belief was strong in God, and God giveth, God taketh away. So who am I to? You know, I asked him for guidance, and he came. He told me this is what I need to do, and that's what I did. I told my doctor, I'm not going to take any medication, anything like that. But because of the aggressiveness of the prostate, I had to have an operation to remove the prostate. So the prostate operation took about 6 hours. I was scared, you know. I also, even on the operating theatre, when they were getting me ready to have the operation, and the anesthetist, you know, when they put the needle to go to sleep, even before then, they were asking me, you know, to kind of chance to go through having the chemo, radiotherapy, and all these different drugs. I refused. And they said, okay. And they were saying, now you got to count back from 9, you know, 10, 9, 8, you know, and I just ease off. And I was so scared. I was so terrified because I'm thinking, I'm not going to wake up. I'm not going to wake up. And I just closed my eyes and said, God, my life is in your hands. But if you let this pass over me, I will go out in the world and I will promote, right, about this health and well-being, about all these things, you know, to other people. But please let me live. And I asked God for that. And then the next minute, my eyes was closed. And the next minute, I woke up and I was violently shaking and my body was all over the place. You know, I was wrapped up with these silver things. But the thing is, I was alive.
Yeah.
I was alive.
You survived.
Yeah. Thank God I was alive.
Yeah.
You know? I didn't know some of the things that I would have experienced having cancer, prostate cancer. I woke up with a catheter. I wasn't told anything about any catheter. You know, and that was so uncomfortable for me. You know? But here I was with a catheter in hospital, but the thing is, I was alive.
Yeah.
And it was very difficult for me. So I felt this operation and the way that I felt less than a man.
Yeah.
I felt useless. I had a girlfriend and I had to push the girlfriend in the arms of another man because we couldn't do the things that I used to, because I was told that, you know, you'll never have an erection, you're not going to have any more kids.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is what's going to happen to you. You know what I mean? You're going to have to be taking medication after medication. You know what I mean? And there's certain things regarding you know, your sexual things. All those things are just going to disappear.
Yeah.
So saying that to a man, I didn't want to be around. I didn't want to be around because feeling the way that I feel and the way that they told me this was going to happen to me.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, well, why am I here? Because I'm useless. I'm useless to anyone. I could not formulate any relationship because what's the point? You know?
Yeah. I'm conscious of time as well. I'm just wanting to see how, and you know, to give people time to ask questions as well. How, having gone through that horrific kind of experience of having the operation, and you know that you're alive and you're still here, sitting here now with us, you know, what work were you doing at the time? Because I know your background. I know that you were into health and fitness and everything else. You know, you were doing, you recovered. I know because I can see you quite here and I know that you're healthy now. You know, when did you start or going back to training? Because I know that there's been a lot of success since you've gone through all of this life experience, trauma, you know, potential life-threatening with the prostate cancer. You've had some really positive things kind of come out of this experience that you've had.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I mean, mentally, I was messed up, and as a black man, knowing about cancer, prostate cancer, I didn't know that 1 in 4 black men will develop prostate cancer in their lifetime, and in white men is 1 in 8. Now, to me, that was an alarming figure, and I wanted to do something about it. And the only way I can do something about it was actually do more positive things. So I went into natural bodybuilding. After starting to recover, it took me a few years to get myself because I was leaking, because when they took the catheter out, that was another story. Like I say, it's in my book.
Yeah. And we want to know a little bit more about your book as well. So, yeah.
So it helped me, and I wanted to help a lot of people, not only Black people, even though Black people suffer more with this cancer than any, but I just wanted to help people in general.
Yeah.
So I went into bodybuilding, natural bodybuilding. Notice it's natural. Everything is all natural. I don't take no steroids or anything like that. Everything is naturally based. Yeah. And I exercised, and I got myself stronger and stronger, and I went into competition, and then I was actually doing quite well in competition, and people didn't know that I had cancer, and I've been #1 in Britain for over 4 years as a natural bodybuilder. And
wow,
a year ago,
fantastic.
Yeah, a year ago I went to America to represent Britain, and I'm now #1 in the world as a natural bodybuilder for the over 60s. Yeah, for the over 60s with cancer.
And you don't even look 60.
No, it's God's blessing. Like I say, like if you put the right stuff in your body, you get goodness coming out. You put rubbish in your body, you see it coming out. And I wanted to promote that.
Yeah.
That
well done.
We need to go back to nature. We need to go back to basics.
Yeah.
And so I was using myself as an example, because God has been there with me, and He was saying share it. And that's what I do. I go out and I promote it. And I was doing a lot of work up and down the country, talking to groups of people, individuals, about how they can survive cancer. These are the kind of steps that they needed to do. A lot of them, it was quite difficult, especially within the Black community. It was difficult for them to understand. I wasn't telling them don't take pharmaceutical drugs. I was saying there's also other choices that you can actually look at doing.
Yeah.
And it's about doing something that's more natural for you.
Yeah.
Remember when you was a youth, if you was in Jamaica, what did your parents do? You know, they used to go to the doctor. They used to just go into a field, take some bush or some herbs or whatever, do it, and you was right as rain. Everything that's natural, you know. And so we're trying to let people know, look at the natural process.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all pharmaceutical companies, all pharmaceutical things are not.
Yeah.
You need to understand that some of those carry risk of side effects.
Side effects, yes.
And natural things don't carry no side effects, whatever.
Yeah.
What it's supposed to do, and it comes out of your body, it gets rid of, and that's it, and you're fine.
Yeah.
So I was promoting that, and it was quite difficult for me because people was asking me when I do my talks around how I continue to survive cancer. They wanted to know how I did it, but the powers that be didn't want me to tell them how I did it. They wanted me to promote the pharmaceutical drugs. I refused to do that, and to me, I'd be an hypocrite talking about something that I never took.
Yeah.
You understand me? So the meetings got less and less. So I decided to go out on my own to promote it to churches, to other organizations that would have me talking about it.
To put the word out.
Yeah, so at least they've got a choice. So it was a hard thing, you know. You try and do your best, but for people, and they didn't want to know. And I'm thinking, and those people that I've tried to help, some of them are dead and gone now. You know what I mean? And God bless the soul. But the thing is, I'm still here.
Yeah.
I'm still moving forward.
Yeah.
And so I had to do something. And a few people in their dying bed, they were saying, Denton, what you need to do, write your story.
And that's you've written your book now, haven't you?
And I've written a book called A Man Dies Every Hour.
Yeah.
Right, and that's a fact. A man dies every hour with cancer, prostate cancer, and it gives you all the information in about signs and symptoms, what to look out for,
okay,
and some of the foods that you need to implement into your daily diet.
Okay.
Right, and that's what I did. Now, when the cancer charity, they were supposed to help me promote the book. They refused when they're ready because I had nothing in there to do with pharmaceutical medicine. And I'm saying, well, I'm telling my story.
Yeah.
That's my story. I'm not saying to people, don't take pharmaceutical drugs. I'm telling you, this is how I survive. And
Yeah.
is what people's wanting to know.
Mm.
You understand me?
Yeah.
So I'm on my own, basically.
Yeah.
Doing that, promoting that myself.
Yeah.
And I want to reach a lot more people so they can actually have their choice, because we all need choices.
Yeah.
You only get one choice when you've got cancer.
Yeah.
And the two choices, chemo, radiotherapy, and you're being pushed into that corner and they say, if
Yeah.
you don't have this, you're going to die.
Yeah.
You know, and they give you so long. It never lasts, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So where can we get, where is your book available now? Where can we get it from? Should we take some details?
Yeah, they can get through me if they contact me. Oh, that man's got it.
Sorry?
That man's got my book.
Oh, wow. Well done.
Respect. Yeah, they can get it. Just email me. And,
right, okay.
Because that's the only way that I can promote it, is by myself, because they won't help me. So I'm asking other Black people, white people, well,
that's great. Someone here in you know, in this session is promoting your book. Actually got your book, so that's the word is getting out.
Yeah.
What I wanted to thank you for that. Denton, it's been really interesting, inspiring, heartbreaking for me to hear your story, and I really appreciate you sharing. You know, your life experience. I know there's lots of other things that, you know, we could talk about, but because of time, we're not able to. But we've got a good overview of kind of like what has actually happened to you, and I'm really grateful that you've shared your story. And there's this for me is an example of, by sharing our own stories, we can try and either we will support other people, because if there's a shared experience. Yeah. You've demonstrated that you've had prostate cancer and you survived, and it will then encourage other people to, in your situation, to go and have their prostate checks and everything else. But by sharing your story, you may well have encouraged someone, or probably even saved someone's life. So this is why I think for me, about having these sessions about opening up and talking about the experience, because it was obviously very emotional for you, and I know that, you know, at times it's been really hard, and you've shown that. So I'm really, really grateful for you kind of sharing that. But I wanted to, and other things that you may want to talk about may come out of some of the questions that people may want to ask. So if you're okay with that, if we open up and ask people to let me know, either by putting your hand up, if you would like to ask either Denton or myself a question, just so that would give us enough time for people to ask anything that they are interested in or want to know more about, you know, your experience or what's happened for you. If that's all right with everyone who's listening. If you want to either unmute your mic when you want to speak, but I just need to just kind of manage that in case there's too many people wanting to talk at the same time. So anybody wanting to ask any questions? People are still, I think, settling into your story. And
hello, Angela, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. This is
hello there.
You want to ask a question?
Yes. First of all, I wanted to say to Denton, very, very well done. You are an absolute inspiration. Thank you. And mine isn't so much a question. It's more of a tiny sharing, in that I understand totally what Denton was saying, because I myself actually moved away from allopathic medicine and went into naturopathic medicine. I use herbs to heal myself because I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and told that I'd be wheelchair bound. I was given these dreadful drugs that were making me suicidal almost. And I took a leap of faith, prayed to my God in my way, and decided to study naturopathy. And that's what I used. And this is 22 years after, and I am overweight, but apart from that, I'm actually okay. I walk a little bit slower, but I'm not wheelchair bound. So I know for a fact the herbs do work. They definitely work. So thank you for sharing your story. And I hope it's inspired a lot of other people as well. Thank you.
Thank you, love. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mum. Who is...
That's Janet.
Janet.
Yes.
Janet, can I come back to you, Janet? I've just got, I've got Rob Cottrell wants to say something. Rob, if you want to unmute your mic. And then Janet.
Yep.
Yes, brother.
Hi, Denton.
All right.
I've known Denton for many years in Sheffield. And you're right, Angela. There's much more to Denton than he's already spoke about.
Yes, I know. We could have a couple of hours here. I know that.
Yeah, he was one of the Fantastic Four. The original Fantastic Four. Yeah. But I don't. I run an emotional management group for black men. It was before lockdown on the last Friday of the month. For an opportunity for us as black men, young, older, teenagers, whatever, as long as we're male, that's the group that we've designed. Because what you've just done there, Denton, is not, I know you know other people in this group, because I know the people in this group, I know you know. And for us as men in particular, I think, to come out in public and to talk about these things, it's not easy, because it's not what we were designed to do. Well, we are designed to do that, but we're not socialized into doing it. Yeah. So we find other ways to express our emotions, which are, I don't know, in my experience, I speak for myself, it's either at the top end in anger, or at the bottom end in despair. And we don't get used to using all those other finer emotions that range right in between those two spectrums. So I'm going to say an amazing hats off to you for that, Denton. Although I am familiar with your story, you know, because I too do some natural bodybuilding with Denton. I can't beat him. Never mind. Well, I'm going to keep trying. And I can't beat Martin Lee either, who's on this goal. But I just wanted, you know, one of the things I think that I've certainly done in my life to manage myself is go to the gym. Because I think sometimes people think because you go to the gym, you think you're some kind of like, you know, macho Neanderthal. And actually, I know what I've used the gym for. I've been doing gym work for the last 45 years. I'm 60. I'm younger than Denton, by the way, but I'm 60.
And you look it, Rob. No, I'm joking.
But I know that a lot of men, they use the gym as a part of their emotional management. It's not to show off. It's how we manage ourselves. And I wonder if you've been conscious that that's actually played a role in your life, Denton.
It did. It played a great deal. It was a distraction that was good for me, because you need to have good health. And in order to have good health, you need to look after your body. And you need to feed your body right. So going into the gym helped me a great deal mentally and physically. So yeah, we need exercise. You know, we're made to do things, not to do nothing. We're made to do something. And that's what I did.
Yeah. And for now, it's working. It's worked for you, and it's certainly worked for me. It's got us here. Yeah. Well done, Denton. Big respects.
Thanks. People wanted to know about living longer, but we want to live longer with good health. We should not be living longer with bad health.
Yeah.
I'm a proof of that, and I'm trying to help other people to move that way as well.
Yeah. Okay. And we're also proof that when we say health, we're not talking about our physical health. Because I've used gym for my mental health.
Yeah, that's right.
You know? So yeah, let's put them two together.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that, Rob.
Yeah, nice
Thank you. Thanks for that, Rob. I've got Janet up next. I think you're under, is it Galaxy Tab? I'm not quite sure.
I don't know what happened there.
Okay, don't worry. Would you like to ask a question to Denton?
Denton, I don't know you, but I'd love to say you're very inspirational. I think you're very brave for opening up to us and disclosing something that's quite personal to you. I love the fact that you are using natural remedies for yourself, and I think when you talk about the gym, it's good to know that gym's not only just for bodybuilding, it's good for your mental well-being. It's good to put your mind in a different place and in a different thing instead of focusing on your ill health. It's good to focus on your mental well-being so that you can look at things differently. And that's the other thing we forget as people, we forget to talk. We do forget to talk and find someone to talk to get rid of those problems. So I really do thank you very much for disclosing what you did, and I loved it. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you very much for that, Janet. It's a good reminder. you said your physical health also can support your mental health as well. Thank you for that. I've got Jenny up next to ask a question. Jenny, would you like to ask a question? Would you like to ask a question too?
Denton,
Hello.
thank you so much for sharing your story. There are so many times in your story that you sounded really isolated, coming to Jamaica, being sent away, trying to settle in to the UK, and then losing your dad in such a way. And then I was really struck as well, finding out about your own cancer and going through the surgery alone. Didn't even say it to your mum. And I guess I'm just wondering, you sound like a man of tremendous faith. But I wonder, have you ever lost that faith? Has it ever faltered? How have you stopped yourself from getting angry or resentful or bitter about the losses? I just wondered.
Yeah, I've never ever lost my faith, because my grandmother told me at an early age that the devil is going to ride you, but you've got something to do before you pass. I know we're going to die sooner or later, but she was telling me, remain strong, keep your faith in God, because he's the one that's going to be your protector. No matter what happens to you, when your time comes, it will come, but do the things that you need to do, because you're assigned to do that. I think many people have got certain things to do in life. We don't know what that is. I still don't know what that is. All I wanted to do was to be able to help people, help anyone. It doesn't matter, because we're living in a world where it's human beings, right? Black and white, it doesn't matter. If I can help someone, that's what I want to do. And that's what I continue to do. But it's so difficult trying to, and I'm not putting religion on people, because I just believe in God. God has many names, right? But I believe this entity, which is God, I know in my heart of hearts, he's always been there for me. And I don't push it into people's face. What I do, I try and do all the right things and show that I love my fellow people, no matter who they are, and try and promote good health and well-being, because I feel it's important that we all do that. And if we all do that, I feel the world will be a lot better place to live.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that, Jenny. Thank you for... I've got David Spence-Madden would like to ask a question. If you want to...
Good afternoon.
Hi.
Mine is not a feedback. I just want to say thank you to Denton for sharing your story. Listen to your story. You know, some of it resonate with me. And when I listen to what you've said regarding when you did something wrong and you were told you have to leave your mom to go to England, but you're going to be going to your mom. I can't imagine how confusing that must have been for you. And then when you say you arrive in England at the airport, and you didn't know who you were looking for. And it seemed like the person that was looking for you didn't know who they were looking for neither.
Right.
So I cannot imagine what that must have been like for you. And then, if that wasn't bad enough, then you were told that your father was dead. And I don't know what happened, but something happened again, and you were told as well that he was alive. And I know that even though that would have happened when he was a lot older, but you know, it's so like you've got like a tsunami of emotion going on. Yeah. And with your determination, with your dreams, you know, you followed that through. You went back to Jamaica to find your dad. And then, you know, I cannot imagine what it was like for you as well to find this man. And shortly after that, within 2 weeks, from being elated, you got completely deflated, because you realized that the man was practically dying in front of you. And you know, so when he told you about his disease, the sickness what he's got, which you didn't know anything about from what you've said.
Yeah.
And then you didn't even leave him. You made him a promise that you're going to try and do what you can for him.
Yeah.
And then you get the message that he was dead. You know? I just want to say to you that I've not experienced all of what you've gone through, whilst you were talking about it, I just felt this, this sadness came over me. You know what I mean? And as Jenny pointed out before, that you was alone. It's a sense that you was alone. You know what I mean? But you know something? You sharing that story now, you're not alone, because I'm pretty sure that all of us here, majority of us here, can understand and can share in the story and can walk with it. And all I'm saying is, thank you very much for sharing that.
Thank you very much, brother. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We're on time. Could we, Denton, wanted to ask you for your email address, if you just want to give it out to people slowly so they can write it down, and where they can where they can order your book from.
Yeah. My email address is denton_wilson@hotmail.com. I'm on Facebook as well. I've got some Facebook pages to do with mental health. I've got Facebook to deal with the products, the natural products that I have as a bodybuilder. Not everyone, the product is this for anyone. You don't have to be a bodybuilder. It's about all the natural things in there that sustains good health and well-being. All those things actually on my website, which is dwnaturalsurvivor.org. This is the T-shirt that I have.
You might have to stand up so we can see it.
You see it with me here? You see it?
Just about, yeah.
Okay.
Just about.
Just about, yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to do is promote good health and well-being for everyone, not only just Black people, even though we need it more, but it's for also white people. It's about keeping ourselves healthy in the right natural way. We need to go back to nature. Like I said, there's so much things that I know that I can help people with, and if they want to email me, I can talk to them more about how to maintain good health. And the people said, have I got the secret of youth, looking the way that I do? I don't know if it's a secret, but I will reveal anything to it, because I take something that reduces the age process, and it's all natural. So if anybody's interested in that,
get in touch.
Get in touch with me.
So, and they can, if people email you, you can direct them to where they can get your book from as well, yeah?
Yeah. They just direct me, and I can sort that out for them, no problem. Okay,
great. We are going to have to close now, but I want to say, first of all, thank you so much, Denton, for taking the invitation to come and share your story. And it's been inspirational, and not just for me, but I know for everybody who's been listening. And I'm really, really glad that you're still here and that you're doing some fantastic work. And I want to say thank you to everybody who has been on this session. I really appreciate the support and really appreciate the contribution that everybody's making. And just want to say we'll be here again next week. I'll be here with another guest this time next week, Sunday, between 1 and 2. So just want to say thanks very much, everybody, for joining. Thank you. Have a good week and look after yourselves. Okay.